welcome to the FreeFormKnits podcast, episode 19. I'm Hexan Evers, a knitter and crocheter, performers of crafting and love to the world of design. All the places you can find me will be linked down below this video. Thank you so much for stopping by and talking with me for a little bit. So, the date. I keep forgetting to say the date. I hate when people forget to say the date. It just bugs me, because I like to know what the date is of what I'm watching. So today is June 9th. I believe it's the 9th. You'll be seeing this on Friday. It's currently Wednesday, so if that's wrong, I will put that on the little banner there in the editing. So I have quite a few finished things to show you. They're not necessarily recently finished, but some of them are. 2 of them are. So, oh no, 3 of them are. I feel better. So we're going to be talking about some finished objects, then some whips, and a bit of acquisitions as well. So we'll just get right into it. So the first thing I finished was the pair of socks that I said had been on the needles for too long and that were really quick to finish, and these really were quick to finish. I think after the last podcast I finished the entire pair 2 days later. So I finished one, I think that day, and then the other the next day. Ridiculous. So here are my socks. There are 2 of them, and they match perfectly. They could not be more matching. They match perfect. I don't think there's a stitch off. It's so great. So the main color here is Knit Picks Felici in the Countess colorway, and then the contrasting heel and cuff noises, contrasting toe and heel are a Yarn Bee mini. It doesn't have a color, it just came in like a set, but the brand is Yarn Bee, and the blend is, I keep saying it's a 80-20 acrylic nylon blend, but it's actually a 60 wool, 20% nylon, 20% acrylic blend. I believe that's correct. I keep messing it up in my head. I don't know why. And this pattern is my shortcut heel sock recipe, which is my vanilla sock pattern. I did this one a shorty. I just did a short leg, but the leg length is easy to change. And the reason I got the matching is because I used my I have a video on YouTube, a special trick to how to cast on in self-striping yarn. I cast on perfectly, and that is why they match perfectly. Like, they match perfectly. They could not match more perfectly. So really happy with those. And I knit my socks on a US 2.75, a US 2.75 millimeter needle. That's what I always use. So they're my socks. I was looking at all my socks the other day, all my sock drawer, and I realized I only have vanilla socks in my sock drawer. I mean, I've made patterned socks, but I hold on to the samples. So I need to make more patterned socks, which will bring us into our whips later, but another shorty sock. Not shorty, vanilla sock. Vanilla socks are so nice to have all the time. So the other finished object that was a whip last time are these gloves. These are the gloves that go with this hat, and this is a set will be publishing later this year. This classic vanilla set that I'm still working on the details of, but the premise of this set is that it will be very basic vanilla patterns, but there will be something special in those patterns that I'll talk about later when it's closer to the time. So here are the gloves, these fingerless mitts. And I like to do my fingerless mitts. I don't like mittens because I like my fingers free. My fingers get cold. So these ones I did make a little bit shorter. Usually I do them very tall so that they cover my fingers, and then I can just fold it over. But I did do these ones a bit shorter, but you can still fold them over. And like I said, they match this hat. So these were knit on a US 8 A4 millimeter needle out of I Love This Yarn in the cream colorway. And actually a whip that I have all set up, but I just haven't cast on yet, is the cowl that will be going in this collection. But I have not cast it on yet. I was going to cast it on this morning, and I didn't. I should probably write these up first, just so I don't forget. And the other finished object that I have, I'm counting it finished. It's technically not yet. I do need to do a few more things to it, but it is my Forest Breeze tee by Grace Forthefrills. That was the pattern designer's name. I think Forthefrills is her company, but by Grace of Forthefrills. And it is the Forest Breeze tee. So I did do a few modifications. One thing, I'm not sure if I modified or if I messed up. I probably messed up. I think I got different stitch counts for, like, you start up here at the shoulders, or like you do one side and then you do the other and then you join it to do the body. It's knit in panels, crocheted in panels. And I got a different stitch count, I think. I didn't really care at the time because I was just like, well, that's wide enough, and just kept going. But I'm pretty sure I did get a different count. This always happens when I try to follow a pattern like this. I don't know why. I start and then I don't care. And as long as it fits in the end. So here it is. And I crocheted it. I crocheted the front out of, I striped 2 colors. This pink is Yarn Bee's ID in the Rosewater colorway. And this, oh, I brought the tags. Hold on. I brought the tags. So the Yarn Bee, the pink is the Yarn Bee ID in the Rosewater colorway. Rosewater. And this multicolor is like this variegated. It is I Love This Yarn in the Plums colorway. So it's just 2 skeins, and I just striped them. I did 2 rows in one and then 2 rows in the other, and it's so pretty. This Rosewater colorway, I love. I actually bought an entire sort of quantity because they had it in stock when we went yarn shopping, and so I had to get it. I love the color. Seriously. It's like my favorite shade of pink. And so I did that for the front, and then for the back, I just did solid gray because I only had these 2 skeins. Technical difficulties. So I only had 2 skeins, these 2 skeins. They wouldn't be enough on their own, which was a good call in the end because I Love This Yarn in, I think they're Gray Mist colorway, and I Love This Yarn comes in 199 gram skein balls, and I had barely enough to seam the shoulders and the sides. And I did manage 2 rows of ribbing on the front and 1 row of ribbing on the back. So let me see if I can try it on. So it looks a little ridiculous with this shirt, and I'm going to scooch it back a bit. But here is the fit. So I did want it a little longer initially, but I think the length is okay. I'm really proud of the seam and how it looks, the gray and the stripes together. So after I seamed it and then tried it on, I remembered my first crochet cardigan I made. My first official crochet garment that was this construction with the squareness, and I remember thinking I needed short rows, and I kind of do. It's not uncomfortable, it feels a little uncomfortable, but it's okay. So the reason I classify this, technically it's a finished object, but it's technically not. I do want to do the sleeves in the pattern. She has you do the sleeves flat, and I think that's for so that the double crochet matches. I could still do it flat. Like I could do it attached, but then seam up under the underarm rather than have to seam the piece to the entire underarm. I think that would drive me crazy. So I'll probably do that. The only problem is I don't think I have any more of this color. I have another gray that's a different brand, but it's a very similar color. So I might do that. And then I do need to do some sort of edging on the neck. only because I have my yarn that I carried up on the sides. But other than that, it should be fine. And I crocheted this on a 4.5mm hook. I don't know, it's the one before the H. I suppose it's a G, but I really don't know. My crochet hooks don't have the letters on them, so I think it's a G. I'm like 94% sure it's a G. That's all my, oh no, these are the finished objects I wanted to show last time, but didn't, because I forgot to bring them. My little sock adventure. So I did a toe-up sock. I did 2 toe-up socks. They're all worsted weight. I had an idea, so I went with it. I've knit toe-up socks in the past. I don't like the cast-ons for toe-up socks. If you watched my vlog before last episode, I talked all about these socks. I knit them out of worsted weight. I love this yarn in this tweed colorway. And instead of doing a proper toe-up cast-on, let me bring it a little closer. There we go. Instead of doing a proper toe-up cast-on like the Judy's Magic cast-on or the Turkish cast-on, I just cast on and then did mattress stitch for like 8 stitches. And it's perfect. It's a perfect cast-on. I mean, my seaming's a little bit tight, but if I got better at it, you can't tell. So that was a triumph for me. And then I experimented with a different heel because I always do my shortcut heel because my shortcut heel is my perfect heel. I love it. It's a shortcut. It's a heel with no short rows. I love it. And I know in my head how to modify it for toe up, but I didn't feel like figuring that out at the moment when I was doing these socks. So I decided to do a different type of heel. I did a toe up French heel, I think it's called. I have like a book of how to knit perfect socks. That's what it's called, I think. How to knit socks that fit. It's like this little book, and the heel was listed as a French heel and heel, so I started with that, but then changed it, so it's technically not even a French heel anymore. But I was really surprised at how it turned out. It's not perfect, as you can see here, and there are just spots here that it's really not perfect, and I haven't worn these yet. So, I don't know. But it looks really nice. It's heel shaped. That's good. And I did fold over the top. I decided they'd be like slippers. And I knit these on a 4mm. So I'm gonna wear them and see how I like them and decide how I feel about this heel adventure and decide if I want to experiment with it further. There are certain socks I would like to knit toe up. I talked about this actually. My aesthetic, seeing somebody knit 2 at a time toe up socks, seeing them how they look on the needle is so pretty. But I've knit 2 at a time socks before, and I've knit toe up socks before, and combination of those two, and it's just not for me. It's in the past I've been very frustrated by it, but I don't know, maybe I'll give it another go, because it's, like you see those Instagram pictures with the 2 at a time socks on the needle, and the Kayla looks so pretty, but maybe it's not me in hindsight. So before we get into whips, I do want to talk about a little bit of designing news. So you're seeing this on Friday, June the 13th is Sunday, so 12th, 11th. You'll be seeing this on the 11th. This Sunday, I have going to be published, you might recognize this shawl pattern. It is glorious. This will be my first crochet shawl pattern. And on the news of crochet shawls, I have, so many things. This week I have been publishing the video tutorial series for my 4 crochet shawl constructions. I'll put that here. 4 crochet shawl constructions is a PDF document containing the written instructions, these recipes for how to crochet 4 different types of shawl shapes: top-down triangle, asymmetrical, crescent, and tip to tip. I published it last year in December, and this year I have done video tutorials for them and I've been publishing them to my YouTube channel this week. The last video should have gone up today. And this Sunday I am publishing my first full crochet shawl pattern, and this is the Mitgehen shawl. And hopefully, if all goes according to plan, I'll have a video up on my channel all about this shawl. We'll see. This week's been a little bit weird. But this crochet shawl pattern, it's the asymmetrical shape. I love asymmetrical shawls. I truly do. And it's just double crochets and my favorite crochet lace ever. Granted, I haven't done a lot of crochet lace, but I love this stitch. And it's just super simple. It's a great palette cleanser shawl. It just whipped up so fast. It's so pretty. I crocheted out of I Love This Yarn in the Prima Ballerina colorway. I think I used 2 skeins. Yes, I did use 2 skeins. I remember. And I had enough left over for tassels, which are totally optional, but I feel fringe, I can take it or leave it. It depends on the project. You know, pom-poms, fringe, I feel like it all depends on that object. You know, it's not just I hate pom-poms, I hate fringe, or I love them exclusively. It all depends on the object. So that is the shawl, and this will be released Sunday. No idea how to fold an asymmetrical shawl, but you do what you can. The other piece of design news I have are about these socks that I showed you last week. The Garter Rib Bliss socks are a sock pattern to go with the Garter Rib Bliss hat that is free in my Ravelry shop. That pattern is needing an update, and that is something I've been meaning to do for so long. It's ridiculous. But these socks are going to be, by the time you see this, the testing call should be up. It'll be a link to the Ravelry group. The testing pool where I'll be holding the testing will be linked down below. So if you want to test these socks, and you can just hop on that. So it's just a simple knit purl texture, super fast. For the testing call, I will just need 1 sock done within 2 weeks. Very simple. I'll just need the 1 sock completed and pictures of it, and that's it. And your feedback on the pattern, obviously. But there it is. It has my shortcut heel, and I chose to do it in garter, and it has this fun braided twisted rib. It's like lazy twisted rib, and my Patrick toe. So these will be any tester's beads. So if you want to test a super simple knit purl texture sock, like I said, down below. And now that will be a link to a Ravelry group. I plan on holding it in the testing pool. That's usually where I get test knitters. Which brings me to another piece of news. I have also linked down below will be a link to an email list where you can sign up so that every time I have a testing like this, a test knit or crochet going on, you will be notified of it. So if you are struggling to find opportunities to test, you can sign up for that, and that way anytime I have a pattern coming out that I need testers for, you can sign up for that and get notified. You don't have to agree to every one, but you will at least know about it. So you have the option of joining in, or if you don't want to join in, you don't have to do anything, just delete the email. But I'll have that link down below if you are looking for testing opportunities. I have a lot of patterns that I'm going to need testers for coming up. So, and back on the Ravelry train, this will be linked to a Ravelry group. But if you are not able to use Ravelry, if you don't have Ravelry, you can always just message me on Instagram. My handle will be down below. And if you want to test these socks, then we can just communicate through email. If Ravelry is not an option for you. And I gotta stop turning this. I don't know what's wrong with me. But that's that piece of news. And once these are done testing, I think I planned to have them out by the end of this month. So pretty. That is all finished objects design news, and now we can talk about whips. Whips. Let's talk about whips. The first whip is a sock whip. And this kind of ties into acquisitions a little bit, this section. So me and my sister went shopping for yarn on Monday, and I got lots of yarn. Not too much, but a lot. I'm not going to share it all, but I'll share it as I show it. And I have a lot of sock pattern ideas, and one of which I got 2 different brands of sock yarn. Hobby Lobby is where I can get yarn easily. It's accessible to me, both price point and location. So that's where I do get a majority of my yarn, because I can afford it. So I went to Hobby Lobby and I got 2 different types of, they've gotten better with the offerings of fingering weight yarn. So one is Yarn Bee Sweet DK. No, Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek DK is listed as a DK yarn. It's actually a fingering. It is not good for socks. They wear out very quickly, at least for me, because I have a tendency to be hard on my feet. But they have another brand called Yarn Bee Sweet Divinity that I don't know how it wears as a sock yarn. It is in 80% acrylic, 20% nylon, I think. I think that's the one. That is the 80-20. And the minis I use for my socks, like for these socks and for the Felici, this is Felici, for the shorties. These minis, they sell minis in like packs of 5, and they are, I thought they were 80-20, but they're actually 80% wool. No, they're 80% acrylic, 20% wool, 20% nylon, and they work perfectly for heel toes and cuffs. I've not yet had one rip at all, or have a hole or anything. So, but I don't think they offer that blend in a full skein. So Sweet Divinity seemed like a good thing to try, because I don't think I've ever made a pair of socks like that in that brand before. But I also found, and I have to reach down for them, I found this brand that I hadn't seen before. This is Yarn Bee Color Ideal, and it is a blend of 50% merino wool, 30% nylon, and 20% acrylic. And it's the closest I could find to these little minis, the closest blend. So I got a skein of Sweet Divinity and I got 3 skeins of this because I have high hopes for this. It feels like a sock yarn. Like it has that woolly feel of like Patton's Croy. So I got 3 different colors of this. And I got the Sweet Divinity. No. Yes, I got the Sweet Divinity. I will get the names right. And I cast it on the Sweet Divinity. And I started the pattern I had in my head. And it was fine. It was working out fine as a sock yarn. It's a little bit on the thicker side than like a fingering, but it was still working out fine. But long story short, the pattern idea I had was not working out at all. No, I had to rip back because I rethought the pattern as I was knitting it up, which happens. But then by the end of it, I had a completely different idea for the pattern, and the yarn I was using was not going to work. It was just too thick. So I spent all of Monday night working on that and then had nothing to show for it. So I cast that aside, which is fine. And I casted this on this morning. A different pattern for a different sock idea, and this actually sock idea will be a collection. All these yarns are going towards a sock collection idea I have. So I got the colorway Frosty Mint, the colorway Orangeology, and Magenta. And these are all going to be part of a sock collection. The sock collection is going to center around very simple socks with knit purl textures, specifically garter stitch. It's going to be a garter stitch sock collection. Very simple, and I'm really excited about it. I think I talked about this in the last episode. I love vanilla socks that, like, sometimes you want a vanilla sock, but at the end of the project, you don't want it to be a vanilla sock. And that's the idea. So I will show you the front. This is the first texture I'm doing. And the back's just plain. And I plan to do my garter stitch heel. And I'm loving loving it. I love this yarn. Works up. If anything, it's thinner than a pattern Crochets. I'd say it's, I'm tempted to say it's the tiniest bit thinner than a Felici, even. But I don't know for sure. Can you hear the noise upstairs? But I don't know. It's working out fine, and like I said, it has that woolly feel, so I'm very confident that these will wear well as socks. And these are my Charlo needles. I knit all my socks on a US 2 2.75 millimeter needle. There's so much noise going on upstairs. My 2 little cousins are playing upstairs, so there's a lot of noise. But I'm trying to wrap this up. I gotta make lunch. So the second work in progress I have is a bit of a pity work in progress. Saturday was a hard day for me. I don't know why, but I was not happy Saturday, and so as a sort of, I don't care about anything, I cast it on something without any regard for even if it was going to work, which is why it looks a little funny, but it's actually fine. So I am knitting this. I mentioned in the last podcast I was rewatching all of Twin Stitch's Designs podcast from the beginning. I finished that, and she makes so many sweaters, so many circular yokes. I love it, and I was inspired. I haven't been inspired to make a sweater in months. I think it's the first sweater, no, it's not the first sweater cast on this year. At least not, it's the first full-size sweater cast on of this year. So I started by, I have Ann Budd's top-down sweater construction book, and so I started with that. I really only use that to start, like, and not even that. I never start with circular yokes. If a pattern tells me to start with like the first round of increases, because circular yokes you have typically 4 increase rounds, I never start with the first one. I skip right to the second one because I have a problem with necklines. Necklines cannot be, they can't be up here on me. It drives me crazy. So you can see this neckline is clearly not like that. I already have plans. I will pick up this neckline and do worst case scenario. I'll have to do a decrease round before I bind off. But I think if I just do an I-cord on a smaller needle, it'll bring it in enough. So it is knit. I'm using US 9 needles, and these are actually my Caspian short needles because I'm using my 9s for another sweater project that I have not showed because I'm not working on it at the moment. This is actually my second sweater cast on of the year because I did cast on another sweater when I started watching Twin Stitch's Designs because she makes so many pretty sweaters. I love it. I actually have another sweater I might cast on. It's ridiculous. So this was also a scheme I picked up at Hobby Lobby because I had one in my stash and need another one to finish this. So it's Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel Cotton Solids in the Velvet Blush colorway. And it's just 100% cotton yarn. And because I'm knitting it on a 9, it's meant to be knit on an 8, but it's really more, no, it's meant to be knit on a 6. I did not know that. It's more of a light DK, fingering to DK yarn, but because I'm knitting it on a 9, it's super drapey and it's going to be great for the summer. We are currently, I live in the state of Pennsylvania in the United States, so, and we're entering summer, and so we're kind of in the middle of a heat wave right now. I call it a heat wave. It's been in the 90s for the past couple days amidst some thunderstorms, so it's been fun. But this will be super light to wear, and I plan on doing the I-cord trimming in white on the neck and on the sleeves, and at the bottom, to keep it from rolling, I'll do the ribbing. I'll do some 2x2 rib in pink, and then I'll bind off in white, and I think that'll be perfect. So yeah, I haven't tried it on yet, but that's okay. It will fit. I've done the math. And numbers never lie, right? Oh, if only that were true. But it'll be fine. I don't mind if things are oversized. Actually, I prefer them oversized, to be honest. I have a couple of like really oversized t-shirts that I have I have 2 really oversized t-shirts that I love. And so if this is oversized, I don't care. As long as the neck is okay. I'm not really worried about the neck. I was when I cast it on. Imagine you're not having a good day and you cast on a project that you start it and you start worrying about it, but then you don't care enough to rip it out. I really cast this on I was in a really weird mood. like because when you start it with that big wide neckline, you're like, it's not gonna fit, and yet the other part of me is like, I don't care. It's really weird, but I'm loving the project now. And I have other yarn in my stash. I have a couple other colors of this brand, and I also have like a really light, it's a really weird yarn. It's an acrylic yarn, but it doesn't feel like an acrylic yarn. It's that if I knit up at this big gauge, will make a similar fabric. So if all goes well with this t-shirt project, I will make a couple more, because you should. If you find something you like, make plenty of it. So the last part of this podcast will be a couple of acquisitions and one more project that we're talking about. So what was I watching? Rose Opal Knits podcast. It's a podcast by a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, Erica and Daphne, and Erica does cross stitch, and every time I watch a podcaster who does cross stitch, I immediately have to get on my cross stitch stuff. I have fairly a lot of cross stitch stuff that was given to me by a family friend who didn't do it anymore, because anyone else I've had this experience, they hear that you knit, and so they just think you do all the crafty things. They're not necessarily wrong, but that's why I have so much cross stitch stuff, and I would like to use it, but I always have plans for a project and never follow through with it. But I decided to start out small and found a free pattern on the DMC website. I found a couple free patterns, but I started with something simple, the alphabet, and I've done this much so far. And ignore this part, I just need to use a red thread to fill that in. I just ran out when I was doing the letter A, but it's okay. Right? I needed to buy more cloth because this one's funny shaped, and I'm a little worried about the edging, and I'm a little worried about the spacing, but I'm cross stitching, that's all that matters, right? And you can see here, which will bring us into acquisitions in a second, you can see here I'm using binder clips, right? They're not paper clips, they're binder clips to hold my fabric. So because it's too thick to fit into an embroidery hoop. But I went to Hobby Lobby. I think the brand is Artistic Art. I thought it was a name too, but it's just Artistic on the paper. Artistic. These pretty clothespins. And I think they will work better for holding the fabric than these clips, because I keep touching my thread on these clips, and also my mom's kind of wondering why I'm taking off your clips. So I will take these off and return them and use these instead. I don't think the thread will catch quite as much as they do on these. And plus they're super pretty. Look at how pretty these are. I love them. Another thing I got little scissors, because the scissors I have for my cross stitch are clippies that are meant for yarns and not simple little cross stitch thread. They're super pretty. Hobby Lobby's carrying quite a few of these scissors now, and actually one came with a little tip to protect them, which I did want, but this one came in a color, and I like the pretty color better. So there we go. And then I also got needle minders. I thought it came with 4. I'm just losing my mind. I didn't think it came with 4. Did I? No, I moved this one. Ignore me. I could have sworn it said like Lily or something, unless I'm just confusing it with something else. It's just Artistic. The brand. Like I said, losing my mind. But I needed a needle minder, and I got these. These are so pretty. The bird and the, what does this say? Hello, lovely needles. They're just so pretty. I love the colors. So I will put that on this, and it'll be gorgeous. I actually don't know. I know they're a magnet. Does the needle just like slip in between, or do you have to pin it? I don't know. I got no clue. It'll be an adventure. So just shove all this back in here. It wasn't even in here, but and I'm breaking things. I don't know. My mind's not here today. Yeah, So let's talk the goals for next podcast. I would like to have that t-shirt finished, this pink t-shirt thingy here, which I think will be easy. It's just knitting it around. And I would like to have one sock finished. I do want to cross stitch a do. It's just been hard to set it all up and do it. Like anything. So many crafts. So many crafts. I don't like saying there aren't enough hours in the day. I hate that saying because there will never be more hours in the day. It's really just how you use the time you have. But so many crafts. I want to do them all. So I have to wrap this up now and make some lunch. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, all the links to everything will be down below. Thank you so much for watching. Happy knitting!